Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about something we encounter in our lives, something we see but rarely confront head on. I'm talking about foolishness, the kind of behavior that doesn't just reflect a lack of intelligence, but awareness, humility, and heart. Sometimes it's not about what you know, but how you live, how you think, and how you treat others. Tonight, I want to share 6 signs, 6 clear signals that point to a foolish mind. And remember, this isn't about looking down on anyone. It's about recognizing these traits in ourselves. 2, making sure we're moving toward wisdom instead. Overconfidence without competence is a phenomenon that often appears deceptively harmless, yet it can lead to significant problems both for the individual exhibiting it and for those around them. It manifests when a person believes they possess skills, knowledge, or abilities far beyond their actual level of expertise. This misplaced self-assurance creates a dangerous gap between perception and reality, often leading to poor decision-making, failed outcomes, and damaged relationships. It is a behavior rooted in a combination of arrogance, ignorance, and an unwillingness to acknowledge personal limitations. One of the most troubling aspects of overconfidence without competence is its allure. Confidence is generally seen as a desirable trait, a marker of success and leadership potential. People are naturally drawn to those who speak with conviction and assertiveness, mistaking these qualities for competence. However, when confidence is not grounded in substance, it becomes a facade, a hollow display that ultimately collapses under scrutiny. This mismatch between presentation and ability can mislead others, often to the detriment of group dynamics, professional endeavors, or even personal interactions. Overconfident individuals are prone to overestimating their capabilities in ways that can have cascading consequences. For instance, in a professional setting, someone who assumes they can handle a complex task without understanding its nuances may end up making critical errors. This can lead to wasted time, strained resources, and even harm to the organization. In extreme cases, their decisions can ripple outward, affecting entire teams or projects. Yet these individuals often lack the self-awareness to recognize their role in these failures, preferring instead to deflect blame or minimize their mistakes. A key driver of overconfidence without competence is the lack of self-awareness. Many people who exhibit this behavior have an inflated sense of their own abilities, often because they haven't taken the time to critically evaluate themselves. They may avoid feedback, dismiss constructive criticism, or surround themselves with individuals who reinforce their delusions of grandeur. Without the humility to acknowledge their shortcomings, these individuals are unable to grow or improve, creating a cycle in which their overconfidence perpetuates their incompetence. Another contributing factor is the Dunning-Kruger effect, a cognitive bias where people with low ability in a particular domain overestimate their competence. This occurs because their limited understanding prevents them from recognizing their own lack of knowledge. They may mistake superficial familiarity for mastery, assuming that because they understand the basics, they grasp the complexities as well. This can lead to unwarranted confidence in their abilities and an inability to see the risks of their decisions. Overconfidence without competence also thrives in environments that reward appearances over substance. In competitive settings, such as the workplace or social media, individuals often feel pressured to project an image of success and expertise, even if it is not reflective of reality. The culture of fake it till you make it encourages people to prioritize confidence over competence, leading some to focus more on looking the part than on developing the necessary skills. While this strategy may yield short-term benefits, it often results in long-term failures when the lack of genuine ability becomes evident. The effects of overconfidence without competence are not limited to the individual displaying the behavior. They can also harm those who trust or rely on that person. In leadership roles, for example, an overconfident yet incompetent leader can steer an organization in the wrong direction, making decisions that jeopardize the team's success. Their inability to recognize their limitations often means they fail to delegate tasks appropriately or seek advice from those who are more knowledgeable. This not only undermines the collective effort, but also erodes trust and morale among team members. In personal relationships, overconfidence without competence can lead to conflicts and misunderstandings. Individuals who overestimate their abilities may dismiss the perspectives of others, believing they are always right. This can create an imbalance in relationships where one person's inflated self-view overshadows the contributions of others. Over time, this dynamic can strain even the closest of bonds, as those around the overconfident individual grow frustrated with their inability to listen, learn, or admit fault. To address overconfidence without competence, it is crucial to foster a culture that values humility, continuous learning, and continuous learning. Individuals must be encouraged to embrace self-reflection and seek constructive feedback to better understand their strengths and weaknesses. At the same time, it is essential to create environments where competence is prioritized over mere appearances, rewarding those who demonstrate genuine ability and effort. Overconfidence without competence is a cautionary tale about the dangers of self-deception and the importance of aligning perception with reality. It is a reminder that true confidence is not about projecting an image, but about possessing the skills, knowledge, and humility to back it up. Refusal to learn is a significant barrier to personal and professional growth, often rooted in a combination of arrogance, fear, and complacency. It is the deliberate or subconscious rejection of new knowledge, skills, or perspectives, and it can manifest in various ways, from resisting constructive feedback to avoiding opportunities for growth. This unwillingness to embrace learning not only limits an individual's potential, but also impacts those around them, creating a ripple effect of stagnation in teams, organizations, and communities. The refusal to learn often stems from a fixed mindset, a belief that one's abilities, intelligence, or talents are static and unchangeable. People with this mindset may avoid challenges because they fear failure or criticism, viewing them as threats rather than opportunities to improve. This fear creates a mental block, making them resistant to anything that might expose their perceived inadequacies. In contrast, individuals with a growth mindset see learning as an essential part of the journey, understanding that mistakes are stepping stones to progress. Those who refuse to learn, however, remain stuck, unable to evolve beyond their current capabilities. Another common driver of this resistance is arrogance. Some individuals believe they already know enough or that their way of doing things is inherently superior. This overinflated sense of self-worth blinds them to the value of new information or alternative viewpoints. When faced with feedback or new ideas, they may dismiss them outright, assuming they have little to gain from others. This attitude not only hampers their development, but can also alienate colleagues, friends, and mentors who might otherwise support their growth. The fear of change is another powerful factor behind the refusal to learn. Change often requires individuals to step out of their comfort zones and confront uncertainty, which can be intimidating. For many, the idea of learning something new implies venturing into unfamiliar territory where success is not guaranteed and mistakes are likely. This fear can lead to a preference for sticking with familiar routines and practices, even when they are outdated or ineffective. The result is stagnation and failure to adapt to evolving circumstances that ultimately leaves individuals and organizations at a disadvantage. Complacency also plays a significant role. Some individuals become comfortable with their current level of knowledge or skill and see no need to improve further. They may feel that they have already achieved enough or that their existing abilities are sufficient for their needs. While this attitude might seem harmless in the short term, it can lead to long-term consequences as the world around them continues to change. In a rapidly evolving environment, those who refuse to learn risk falling behind, unable to keep pace with new technologies, methodologies, or cultural shifts. The refusal to learn often extends beyond the individual, affecting group dynamics and organizational culture. In workplaces, for example, employees or leaders who resist learning can hinder innovation and collaboration. They may dismiss new ideas from colleagues, cling to outdated practices, or fail to recognize the need for continuous improvement. This resistance can create a toxic environment where creativity and progress are stifled, leaving the organization vulnerable to competitors who embrace adaptability and learning. In personal relationships, the refusal to learn can lead to conflicts and missed opportunities for connection. Relationships require continuous effort and growth as individuals change and face new challenges together. When one partner resists learning, whether it's about communication, empathy, or compromise, the relationship may suffer. The inability to adapt and grow with one another can create a divide, making it difficult to maintain trust, understanding, and mutual respect. The consequences of refusing to learn are far-reaching. On an individual level, it limits opportunities for advancement and fulfillment. People who resist learning may find themselves stuck in dead-end jobs, unable to progress because they lack the necessary skills or knowledge. They may also miss out on personal growth, failing to develop the self-awareness, resilience, and adaptability needed to navigate life's challenges effectively. On a societal level, widespread resistance to learning can have even more significant implications. In a rapidly changing world, the ability to learn and adapt is crucial for addressing complex global issues, from climate change to technological innovation. When individuals or groups refuse to learn, they contribute to a culture of stagnation, making it harder to find solutions and drive progress. Societies that value continuous learning, on the other hand, are better equipped to thrive in the face of change, fostering creativity, innovation, and resilience. The refusal to learn is a self-imposed limitation, a barrier that prevents individuals from reaching their full potential and contributing meaningfully to the world around them. It is a mindset that prioritizes comfort and familiarity over growth and exploration, creating a cycle of stagnation that is difficult to break. Yet the power to overcome this resistance lies within each individual, requiring a willingness to embrace curiosity, humility, and a lifelong commitment to learning. By choosing to step out of their comfort zones and engage with the unknown, individuals can unlock new possibilities and pave the way for a brighter, more dynamic future. Quick to judge, slow to understand is a behavioral pattern that reflects impulsivity, bias, and a lack of empathy. It occurs when individuals make hasty conclusions about people, situations, or ideas without taking the time to gather sufficient information or consider alternative perspectives. This tendency is often driven by cognitive shortcuts, emotional reactions, or preconceived notions, and it can lead to misunderstandings, conflicts, and missed opportunities for connection and growth. At the heart of this issue lies the human inclination towards snap judgments. The brain is wired to make quick assessments as a survival mechanism, allowing us to react swiftly to potential threats or opportunities. While this instinct was useful in our evolutionary past, it can become a hindrance in modern society, where most situations require nuanced thinking and careful consideration. When people rely too heavily on these mental shortcuts, they risk oversimplifying complex issues and forming opinions based on incomplete or inaccurate information. One of the most significant consequences of being quick to judge is the perpetuation of stereotypes and biases. When individuals rely on superficial characteristics or limited experiences to form opinions about others, they reinforce harmful generalizations that can lead to discrimination and prejudice. This behavior not only damages relationships, but also creates barriers to understanding and collaboration. By failing to look beyond the surface, individuals miss the opportunity to see others as unique and multifaceted, limiting their ability to build meaningful connections. Another key factor contributing to this tendency is the role of emotions in decision-making. Strong emotions such as anger, fear, or frustration can cloud judgment and lead to impulsive reactions. When emotions take over, people are more likely to jump to conclusions without considering the broader context or seeking additional information. This emotional impulsivity often exacerbates conflicts as individuals react defensively or aggressively instead of seeking constructive solutions. Over time, this pattern can erode trust and create a cycle of misunderstanding and resentment. Social and cultural influences also play a role in shaping this behavior. In an age of instant gratification and constant connectivity, society often values speed over depth. The pressure to have immediate answers or opinions can discourage thoughtful reflection and encourage people to form judgments based on limited evidence. Social media platforms, in particular, amplify this tendency by rewarding quick, attention-grabbing responses rather than measured, well-informed discussions. The result is a culture where snap judgments are not only common but often celebrated, reinforcing the habit of reacting before understanding. The impact of being quick to judge extends beyond personal relationships and interactions. In professional settings, this behavior can hinder teamwork, decision-making, and problem-solving. Or, for example, a manager who quickly labels an employee as lazy or incompetent without understanding the underlying factors may overlook opportunities to provide support or guidance. Similarly, colleagues who dismiss each other's ideas without considering their merits can stifle innovation and collaboration. These missed opportunities for understanding and growth can have long-term consequences, not only for individuals, but also for organizations as a whole. This tendency also affects how people approach new ideas or information. Those who are quick to judge often dismiss unfamiliar concepts or perspectives without exploring their potential value. This closed-mindedness can limit intellectual and personal growth, as individuals remain stuck in their existing beliefs and resist opportunities to expand their horizons. In a world that is constantly evolving, the inability to adapt and embrace change can leave individuals and communities ill-prepared to face new challenges and opportunities. Another consequence of being slow to understand is the erosion of empathy and compassion. When people rush to judgment, they often fail to consider the experiences, feelings, and motivations of others. This lack of understanding can create distance and tension in relationships as individuals feel unheard or misrepresented. Over time, this dynamic can lead to a breakdown in communication and trust, making it increasingly difficult to resolve conflicts or build meaningful connections. Addressing the tendency to judge quickly and understand slowly requires a conscious effort to cultivate patience, curiosity, and humility. It involves recognizing the limitations of one's knowledge and being willing to listen and learn from others. By taking the time to ask questions, seek clarification, and consider different perspectives, individuals can develop a deeper understanding of the people and situations they encounter. This process not only enhances personal growth, but also fosters stronger, more authentic relationships. The journey toward greater understanding also involves developing emotional intelligence and self-awareness. By learning to recognize and manage their own emotions, individuals can respond more thoughtfully to challenging situations and resist the urge to react impulsively. This ability to pause and reflect before forming a judgment is a hallmark of wisdom and maturity, allowing people to navigate complex interactions with grace and empathy. In a world filled with diversity and complexity, the ability to slow down and seek understanding is more important than ever. By challenging the habit of making snap judgments and embracing the practice of thoughtful consideration, individuals can unlock the potential for deeper connections, greater learning, and a more harmonious society. It is through patience and open-mindedness that we truly grow, both as individuals and as a collective. Blaming others is a behavior deeply ingrained in human nature, often serving as a defense mechanism to protect one's ego from feelings of failure, inadequacy, or guilt. While it may provide temporary relief by shifting responsibility away from oneself, it ultimately hinders personal growth, damages relationships, and creates an environment of distrust and stagnation. The tendency to deflect blame can manifest in various ways, ranging from subtle excuses to outright accusations, and its consequences ripple through every aspect of life, from personal interactions to professional settings. Blaming others is often rooted in an unwillingness to take accountability for one's actions or decisions. Accepting responsibility can be uncomfortable because it requires confronting one's flaws, mistakes, and limitations. For many, this level of self-awareness feels threatening as it challenges their self-image and forces them to reckon with the possibility of imperfection. By blaming others, individuals avoid this discomfort, preserving their sense of control and competence. However, this avoidance comes at a cost, as it prevents them from learning from their mistakes and making meaningful improvements. Blame is also a byproduct of fear of failure, rejection, or judgment. When something goes wrong, the instinct to assign fault to others serves as a shield against the perceived consequences of being held accountable. This fear-driven behavior is especially common in environments where mistakes are harshly criticized or punished. In such settings, individuals may feel compelled to deflect blame as a survival strategy, even if it undermines trust and collaboration in the long run. Another driver of blame is a lack of self-awareness. People who habitually blame others often fail to recognize their role in a given situation. They may lack the emotional maturity or reflective capacity needed to examine their behavior objectively, instead focusing on external factors as the source of their problems. This limited perspective creates a distorted view of reality where personal accountability is minimized and the actions of others are exaggerated. Over time, this pattern reinforces a victim mentality, where the individual sees themselves as powerless and blameless, perpetually at the mercy of external forces. The act of blaming others also serves as a way to maintain control over a narrative. By shifting responsibility onto someone else, individuals can manipulate how a situation is perceived by others. This is particularly evident in professional settings, where blame can be used as a tool to protect one's reputation or advance one's position. For example, a manager might fault their team for a failed project rather than acknowledging their own leadership shortcomings. While this tactic might offer short-term gains, it erodes trust and morale, creating a toxic work environment where accountability and collaboration are devalued. Blaming others not only impacts personal growth but also damages relationships. When individuals consistently deflect responsibility, they undermine the foundation of trust and mutual respect that is essential for healthy connections. Partners, friends, or colleagues who feel unfairly blamed may become defensive, resentful, or disengaged, leading to conflicts and estrangement. Over time, the habit of assigning blame fosters a culture of division rather than unity, making it difficult to resolve disagreements or work toward common goals. Its relational consequences: the habit of blaming others stifles innovation and problem solving. When people focus on finding fault rather than addressing underlying issues, they miss opportunities to learn and grow. Blame creates a culture of fear and defensiveness, where individuals are more concerned with avoiding criticism than exploring new ideas or taking risks. In contrast, environments that prioritize accountability and learning over blame encourage creativity and resilience, enabling individuals and teams to adapt and thrive in the face of challenges. The long-term effects of blaming others are particularly evident in patterns of repeated failure. Individuals who refuse to take responsibility for their actions often find themselves stuck in cycles of frustration and stagnation. By attributing their struggles to external factors, they fail to identify the changes needed to achieve better outcomes. This lack of self-reflection not only limits their potential, but also reinforces a sense of helplessness as they continue to perceive their circumstances as beyond their control. Overcoming the tendency to blame others requires a shift in mindset and behavior. It begins with cultivating self-awareness and recognizing the role one plays in various situations. This involves reflecting on actions, decisions, and their outcomes with honesty and humility, as well as seeking feedback from others to gain a broader perspective. By embracing accountability, individuals can break free from the cycle of blame and take ownership of their growth and success. Equally important is fostering environments that encourage accountability and constructive dialogue, whether in personal relationships, workplaces, or communities, creating a culture where mistakes are seen as opportunities for learning rather than grounds for punishment reduces the instinct to assign blame. When individuals feel safe to acknowledge their errors and seek solutions collaboratively, they are more likely to take responsibility and contribute to positive change. Blaming others may offer a momentary escape from discomfort, but it ultimately limits one's potential and damages the connections that matter most. It is through accountability, self-awareness, and a willingness to learn that individuals can overcome this destructive habit and build a foundation for growth, trust, and meaningful progress. Lack of empathy is a profound disconnect that can permeate relationships, workplaces, and society at large. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, is a cornerstone of emotional intelligence, a crucial skill that helps individuals navigate the complexities of human interactions. When empathy is absent, it creates a barrier to meaningful connection and cooperation, fostering an environment where misunderstandings, conflicts, and isolation thrive. People who lack empathy often struggle to form deep, trusting relationships because they fail to see or acknowledge the emotional needs of others. This inability to connect on an emotional level can lead to a variety of negative consequences, both for the individual and the people around them. At its core, empathy is the capacity to step outside of oneself and into the experience of another person. It requires not only understanding what someone is going through, but also emotionally resonating with their feelings. This skill enables individuals to respond with compassion and support, to listen attentively, and to offer validation when needed. Without empathy, individuals are more likely to dismiss the feelings of others, misinterpret emotional cues, or react in ways that are insensitive or self-serving. This lack of understanding often leads to people feeling unheard, unseen, or unimportant, which can contribute to feelings of alienation and resentment. One of the primary manifestations of a lack of empathy is the tendency to prioritize one's own needs, emotions, and experiences over those of others. This self-centeredness may not always be intentional, but is often the result of an inability or unwillingness to consider the perspectives of people around them. For example, a person who lacks empathy might be quick to dismiss a colleague's stress or a partner's emotional vulnerability, focusing instead on their own concerns or dismissing the other's emotions as unimportant. Over time, this behavior can erode relationships, as those who are repeatedly disregarded may become disengaged or resentful. The lack of emotional reciprocity creates an imbalance, leaving one party feeling unsupported and the other unable to understand or connect with their feelings. In more extreme cases, individuals with a profound lack of empathy may exhibit narcissistic tendencies, where their own feelings and desires become the sole focus of their interactions. Narcissism is often characterized by an inflated sense of self-importance and a lack of concern for others' emotional experiences. People with this mindset may struggle to recognize the value of other people's feelings, seeing them only as tools for their own gratification or as obstacles to their personal goals. This egocentric perspective can be damaging in both personal and professional settings, as it fosters an environment of exploitation, manipulation, and emotional neglect. Without empathy, the ability to form healthy, mutually supportive relationships is severely compromised. Another form of empathy deficit is emotional detachment, where individuals disengage from the emotional needs of others out of self-protection, apathy, or fear. These individuals may avoid or downplay the emotional experiences of others, perceiving emotional engagement as uncomfortable or unnecessary. This detachment often stems from a history of emotional trauma, a lack of emotional education, or simply an ingrained habit of suppressing vulnerability. While emotional detachment may seem like a coping mechanism, it ultimately prevents people from forming deep, authentic connections with others. In relationships, it creates a chasm of emotional distance, leaving one or both parties feeling isolated and misunderstood. Lack of empathy can also manifest in poor listening skills. Empathetic listening requires more than just hearing words. It involves being attuned to the speaker's emotions, tone, and body language. Those who struggle with empathy may interrupt, dismiss, or fail to acknowledge the emotional content behind what is being said. This creates an environment where communication becomes transactional rather than relational, where the person speaking feels like they are not truly being heard or understood. The inability to listen with empathy stifles meaningful dialogue, prevents resolution of conflicts, and deepens misunderstandings. In workplaces and professional environments, a lack of empathy can have far-reaching consequences. Leaders and managers who lack empathy are often seen as distant, authoritarian, or uncaring. This creates an atmosphere where employees feel undervalued or overlooked, leading to disengagement, low morale, and decreased productivity. In contrast, empathetic leadership fosters an environment of trust and respect, where employees feel supported, understood, and motivated to contribute their best work. The absence of empathy in professional settings can also hinder teamwork and collaboration, as individuals who don't consider the emotional needs of their colleagues may struggle to communicate effectively or work cohesively. In a broader societal context, the lack of empathy can fuel division and conflict. When people fail to understand or acknowledge the struggles and experiences of others, whether they be from different cultures, backgrounds, or perspectives, it deepens social rifts and perpetuates inequality. A lack of empathy in social interactions can lead to prejudice, discrimination, and a general disregard for the well-being of others. When empathy is absent in the public sphere, it becomes more difficult to address issues like poverty, injustice, and inequality, as people are less likely to be moved to action on behalf of those who are suffering. Empathy allows for solidarity, for recognizing the shared humanity in others, and for acting with kindness and compassion toward those who are in need. Individuals who lack empathy may also struggle with their own emotional health, as empathy plays a crucial role in regulating one's own emotions. When we are attuned to the emotions of others, we often mirror those emotions in a way that helps us process and understand our own feelings. A lack of empathy can create emotional numbness or disconnection, where individuals become less aware of or engaged with their own emotional experiences. This detachment from both others and one's own emotions can lead to feelings of isolation, confusion, and even depression as individuals struggle to form meaningful connections or find emotional support. The absence of empathy can severely limit an individual's ability to build and maintain healthy, fulfilling relationships, both personally and professionally. It creates an emotional distance that makes it difficult for others to feel truly seen, heard, or valued. Whether due to a lack of awareness, emotional detachment, or self-centeredness, a failure to cultivate empathy ultimately leaves people isolated, disconnected, and struggling to engage with the richness of human experience. Empathy is not just about understanding others' emotions, it is about embracing our shared humanity and the deep, interconnected nature of our lives. Without it, the world becomes a colder, more divisive place. Constant negativity is a pervasive attitude that shapes how individuals perceive themselves, others, and the world around them. It is marked by an ongoing focus on the unfavorable aspects of situations, events, or people, often accompanied by pessimism and a belief that things will not improve. This negative outlook can become a self-fulfilling prophecy, as it limits one's ability to see opportunities, solutions, or growth. It creates an environment where hope, enthusiasm, and motivation are in short supply, leading to emotional exhaustion, stunted personal growth, and strained relationships. Those who consistently dwell on the negative are more likely to experience feelings of helplessness and despair, further entrenching the belief that life is unchangeable and disappointing. At the heart of constant negativity is a tendency to focus on problems rather than solutions. When individuals are caught in this mindset, they have difficulty seeing beyond their immediate frustrations or disappointments. Their attention is drawn to obstacles, faults, and shortcomings, often to the exclusion of potential opportunities for growth or improvement. This focus on the negative can be particularly damaging in problem-solving situations. Rather than thinking critically about how to overcome challenges, individuals who are consumed by negativity are more likely to feel defeated, paralyzed by the belief that the situation is too difficult to resolve. Over time, this mindset reinforces a pattern of inaction as individuals become accustomed to seeing barriers instead of possibilities. One of the consequences of constant negativity is the impact it has on self-esteem and self-worth. Those who continually expect the worst from themselves or others are likely to internalize this negativity, leading them to question their abilities and value. A person who believes they will fail before even trying may struggle to take risks or pursue new opportunities. This fear of failure is compounded by a negative self-image, which can become a significant barrier to personal growth. Instead of taking ownership of their successes or learning from their mistakes, individuals trapped in negativity often feel as though they are victims of circumstance, unable to break free from the cycle of disappointment. This internalized negativity limits their potential and creates an environment where self-doubt reigns supreme. Constant negativity is also closely linked to a lack of gratitude. When individuals are fixated on what is wrong, they are less likely to acknowledge the positive aspects of their lives or the efforts of others. Gratitude shifts focus from what is lacking to what is abundant, fostering an attitude of appreciation that can improve emotional well-being. However, for those who are constantly negative, even the smallest of achievements or gestures of kindness can go unnoticed or unappreciated. This lack of gratitude not only deepens feelings of dissatisfaction, but also leads to a sense of entitlement or bitterness. People may feel as though they are owed more or that they deserve better, failing to recognize the value in what they already have. Constant negativity can have a toxic impact on relationships. When individuals consistently voice complaints, criticisms, or complaints about the world around them, it creates an environment of tension and discontent. Those in close relationships with someone who constantly focuses on the negative may begin to feel drained, frustrated, or unsupported. Conversations become dominated by complaints or judgments, and the individual's perspective can overshadow the feelings or experiences of others. Over time, this dynamic erodes trust and intimacy, as partners, friends, or colleagues may find themselves avoiding interactions with someone who perpetually brings negativity into the conversation. Instead of fostering an environment of mutual support and understanding, the relationship becomes a battleground of negativity, where every attempt at connection is overshadowed by doubt or criticism. In work environments, constant negativity can undermine collaboration, productivity, and morale. Employees who are perpetually focused on the negative aspects of their roles, their colleagues, or the company may discourage others from feeling motivated or enthusiastic. Their pessimism can spread like wildfire, creating a toxic work culture where employees feel demoralized and disengaged. Rather than focusing on finding solutions to problems or celebrating achievements, teams led by individuals who constantly highlight flaws and shortcomings may become stuck in a cycle of dissatisfaction. This negativity not only reduces individual performance, but also affects the collective well-being of the team or organization. When negativity is the dominant force in a workplace, it becomes difficult for anyone to thrive, as the focus shifts from growth and innovation to managing dissatisfaction and frustration. The mental and physical toll of constant negativity cannot be underestimated. Research has shown that a pessimistic outlook on life is linked to various health problems, including chronic stress, anxiety, depression, and even physical ailments like cardiovascular disease. Negative thinking increases the body's production of stress hormones like cortisol, which can weaken the immune system and exacerbate health issues. Additionally, negative emotions often lead to poor coping mechanisms, such as overindulgence in unhealthy habits like overeating, smoking, or excessive drinking. These coping strategies can further contribute to physical and emotional decline, creating a vicious cycle of negativity and poor health. The longer an individual remains trapped in a negative mindset, the more difficult it becomes to break free and regain control over their emotional and physical well-being. Constant negativity also limits personal growth by stifling motivation and curiosity. When people are consumed by negative thoughts, they are less likely to pursue new interests, take risks, or step outside of their comfort zones. This reluctance to explore new possibilities can result in stagnation and missed opportunities. Instead of embracing challenges or seeking personal development, individuals who are constantly negative may shy away from change or resist learning, convinced that nothing will improve or that failure is inevitable. As a result, they miss out on experiences that could lead to personal enrichment, new skills, and greater fulfillment. While negativity can sometimes be a response to real challenges or difficult circumstances, it becomes problematic when it becomes a constant and all-consuming pattern of thinking. When individuals focus exclusively on the negative aspects of their lives, they create a mental and emotional environment that is not conducive to growth, happiness, or success. Constant negativity not only affects the individual's emotional state, but also damages relationships, inhibits progress, and can have long-term effects on physical health. Breaking free from this mindset requires effort, self-awareness, and a willingness to challenge negative thoughts and embrace a more balanced and hopeful perspective. In conclusion, constant negativity, while often rooted in our fear or dissatisfaction, serves only to limit our potential and hinder our growth. It clouds our ability to see opportunities and diminishes the joy that can be found in life's challenges and triumphs alike. The power to shift from a negative mindset to a more positive and solution-oriented approach lies within each of us. It requires patience, self-awareness, and a commitment to reframing our thoughts when we find ourselves slipping into that cycle of despair. By acknowledging the negative but choosing to focus on the positive, we open ourselves to personal growth, stronger relationships, and a greater sense of fulfillment. It's time we embrace the possibility of change and refuse to let negativity dictate the narrative of our lives. The choice is ours. Let us make it one of hope, gratitude, and resilience.